And we're back. We're on chapter 12. We're going to find out how I've seen too much. By this time, the lanky boy had walked past me, swiveled, and returned. Glancing over his shoulder, he stepped onto the brown lawn that blanketed my roots. The air changed, quivering the way it will when people are near, with chemicals, with pulsing heat and humanness. And then it happened. Ooh. He dug into my trunk with the object in his hand, fast, deliberate. Again he checked his surroundings. An elderly woman crossing the street smiled at him and shook her head. She was probably thinking, how sweet, I bet he's carving a heart with his initials in it. Oh, to be young and in love. People are under the impression that trees don't mind being carved into, especially if hearts are involved. For the record, we mind. I had never seen the boy before. He was big, maybe a high schooler. It's hard to know with people. With a tree, I can sense to the month, sometimes to the day, its age. I couldn't tell what he was carving, of course, but I could tell from the determined way he moved that it was meant to hurt. Not me. Somehow I sensed it wasn't meant to hurt me. I was just his canvas. That said, it's not exactly a picnic getting hacked into. Bark is my skin, my protection from the world. Any wound makes it harder to fight off disease and insects. I want to yell, stop, to say something, anything, but of course I didn't. It's not our way. Trees are meant to listen, to observe, to endure. He was done quickly. He stood back, admired his work, gave a little nod, and left. As he walked away, I saw the tool clutched in his fist, a little screwdriver with a yellow handle, thin as a twig, bright as a meadowlark. What did he put on the tree? Bongo was the first to see what had happened. She landed in the base of my trunk, head cocked. Dropping the potato chick in her beak, she cried, I leave you alone for a few minutes and look what happens to you. What on earth? It seems someone mistook me for a pumpkin, I said. When she didn't smile, I added, because, I was carved. For the millionth time, Red, explaining doesn't make things funnier. Bongo flew to my lowest scaffold branch, one of my big primary limbs. She examined my injury. Does it hurt? Not the way an injury might hurt you. Trees are different that way. I gotta do something, Bongo said. There's nothing to be done. You've got a major boo-boo. I want to help. You're the wise old tree. Tell me what to do. Really, Bongo? Time heals all wounds. Bongo hates it when I philosophize. She rolled her eyes. At least, I think she did. It's hard to tell with crows. Their eyes are like morning blackberries, dark and dewy. I just hope my bark isn't ruined. That's my favorite side. It's not ruined, just decorated like those tattoos people get. Bongo nudged me with her beak. Show me who did this. I'll get him. I'll squawk out his window in the middle of the night. I'll dive on him and yank on some of his hair. She flapped her wings. No, better yet, I'll make a deposit on his head. I'll make a deposit on his head every day for a year. I didn't ask what kind of deposit, but I was quite sure I knew. Bongo, dear, that won't be necessary. Bongo shifted from foot to foot, something she did when she was working on a problem. It's almost time for wishing day. Maybe this is some kind of wish, just a poorly delivered one. Another wishing day, I repeated. It seems like we just had one. Had a whole year already come and gone. Days have a way of slipping past like raindrops in a river. One more round, Bongo said, of greedy people bugging you with their needs. One more round of hopeful people wishing for better things. I corrected. Wishing day was always a bit hard on me and on my residents. Usually the animals and birds stayed away that day to avoid curious hands and endless photographs. But it was just one day. I understood its history and my role in it. I knew people were full of longings. A mother tugging a toddler along the sidewalk froze in place when she saw my trunk. Mommy, what does that say? Asked her little girl, who was clutching a stuffed dog toy by its beragged tail. The mother didn't answer. Mommy! They crossed the lawn. The mother stepped close to me. It says leave, she finally said. Like trees have leaves? Gently, the mother traced her cuts with her index finger. Maybe, she answered, maybe like that. She looked over at the two houses near me. Shaking her head, she tightened her grip on the little girl's hand. Let's hope that's all it means. Someone's not happy with the people living there. Those houses, my houses, one painted blue, one painted green, one with a black door, one with a brown door, one with a yellow mailbox, one with a red mailbox. For well over a century I'd stared at them. Prim and proper, same small size, same boxy shapes, same pitch roofs and squat brick chimneys, architecturally siblings. Long before there was a glimmer in some builder's eyes, I was here, right in the middle of things. If my roots stretched past the property line that separated them, well, that's never been my concern. Roots can be unruly. Mine explored the earth below both houses, pirouetting around their plumbing, anchoring their foundations. I spread my shade fairly. I dropped my leaves evenly. I bombed their roofs with acorns in equal numbers. I did not play favorites. Over the years, many families had called those houses home. Babies and teenagers, grandparents and great-grandparents. They spoke Chinese and Spanish and English and French Creole. They ate tamales and pani-puri and dim sum and fufu and grilled cheese sandwiches. Different languages, different food, different customs. That's our neighborhood, wild and tangled and colorful, like the best kind of garden. A few months ago, a new family, Samar's family, rented the Blue House. They were from a distant country. Their ways were unfamiliar. Their words held new music. Just another transplant in our messy garden. Except that this time something changed. The air was uneasy. The parents in the greenhouse refused to welcome the new family. They were polite nods between the adults at first, but then even those vanished. Other things happened. Someone threw raw eggs at the Blue House. One afternoon, a car passed by, filled with angry men yelling angry things. Things like, "Muslims, get out!" Something Samar would walk home trailed by children taunting her. I love people dearly, and yet 216 rings and I still haven't figured them out. Sounds like Ivan, doesn't it? Our neighborhood had welcomed many families from far away. What was different this time? The headscarf Samar's mother wore, or was it something else? As all this unfolded, busybody that I am, I kept tabs, eavesdropped, observed. I never interfered, though. Trees are impartial observers. We are the strong and silent type. Besides, what could I possibly do? I had limbs, but they could merely sway. I had a trunk, but it was rooted to the earth. I had a voice, but it could not be used. My resources were limited. So too, as it turned out, was my patience. One more. When near the neighborhood Wishtree, people talk. It didn't take long for folks to learn about the ugly word carved into my trunk. People stopped to stare. They gathered in little groups. They grimaced and shook their heads and murmured. By lunchtime, the police had arrived. I am not, as it happens, a stranger to law enforcement. A pair of calico kittens resided across the street. They love climbing up my trunk to my utmost branches, and fortunately they don't love climbing back down. In the last 2 months, Lewis and Clark had been rescued twice, I like that that's their names, by the fire department and 3 times by the police. Sandy and Max, the same police officers who rescued the kittens just last week, climbed out of their patrol car to check on me. They frowned. They searched the lawn for clues. They talked to passerbyers and took photos. "Pongo," I whispered. "I'm an official crime scene." She was not amused. The owner of the houses, and therefore technically of me, was the one who called the police. Francesca, tall and thin, with short, dove-gray hair, lived across the street. The blue and green houses had belonged to her family for generations. Francesca was also the owner of Lewis and Clark. With a grim look on her face, Francesca strode across the street to talk to the police. Lewis and Clark squirmed in her arms. "That tree," Francesca said to Sandy, who was taking notes on a little pad, "it's been nothing but trouble for as long as I can remember." Francesca has never been the sentimental sort. She likes cats more than she likes trees. To each her own. I happen to like trees more than I like cats. "Oh, but people love the Wishtree," said Sandy. She looked me up and down. "Although I imagine it's a lot of work for you." "Every year, the day after wishing day, I swear I'm going to cut that thing down," Francesca said. It was true, but I knew Francesca didn't mean it. She and I went way back. "The cleanup isn't the worst of it," Francesca continued. "The things people wish for, the craziness. Last year someone wrote, 'I wish for chocolate spaghetti and permanent marker and a pair of underwear.' They tossed it way up high." "Chocolate spaghetti?" Sandy said. I could get behind that." "Craziness, I tell you." Francesca stared at me. "It's just a tree, after all, just a tree." Just a tree seemed a tad unfair, but Francesca looked tired and angry, so I tried not to take it personally. Sandy closed her notebook. "People believe what they want to believe about trees." She stared at newly carved wood, too. "And about people, too." "What now?" Francesca asked. "Don't know," Sandy said. "The tree belongs to you, not the new family, and you've been here forever." Francesca smiled sadly. "Suppose it could be me they're hoping will leave." They watched Max place a circle of yellow crime scene around the trunk using metal stakes. "Don't think so, Francesca," Sandy said. Max joined them. He stroked the kittens, who purred loudly. "One problem, in terms of prosecuting anyone, is the history of this tree. It's almost May, when people leave their wishes or whatever. It's hard to say for sure this isn't part of the whole, tradition thing. He shrugged. That's assuming we figure out who did this, mind you. People are supposed to make their wishes on a rag or piece of paper, not carve it in the trunk. That's why back in Ireland they called these raggy trees. Nowadays, a lot of people just tie a tag around a branch and write their nutty wishes. In any case, leave is not a wish, it's a threat. It certainly is, Max agreed. Francesca nodded at the cracked and buckled walkway leading to both houses. Tell you one thing, Wishtree or not, this oak is destroying the walkways, messing with the plumbing too. Roots go on forever. She shook her head. Maybe it really is time to cut it down. No more leaves to rake, no more wishing day, no more of this unkindness. Louis leapt from Francesca's grasp and dashed for my trunk. Sandy tackled him just in time. Well, finish up our investigation in a day or two, and then we'll be out of your hair, Max said. Then you'll be free to do whatever you want with the tree. You know, Francesca said, taking Louis from Sandy, my father almost cut this tree down years ago. My mother wasn't having it. Family lore or some such thing. Soft-hearted nonsense. She sighed. I guess it's up to me. Meantime, you keep us posted if anything else happens, Sandy advised. Francesca headed across the lawn, holding the kittens close. Leave, she murmured. What a world. What a world we live in. So we got two things going on here. The fact that there's a family that's Muslim, that's not being accepted for who they are, and we heard some things that are being done to them, like Samara is being teased, the neighbors aren't talking to the parents, they're ignoring them, and then this leave is put in, and we're assuming it's towards them. Second thing is that this tree that's been there for 2 centuries is now being threatened to be cut down, and we know how much the tree means to the people, and the tree cares about the community, but obviously they don't. So I'm curious about where that's going to go. Kind of sad, huh? Kind of like I even start sad, so I'm hoping it builds to something that's more powerful and meaningful. But we'll see. We'll read soon.